All right, you are looking at a live picture from Jersey City. This is breaking news that we've been following, where there has been a shooting. We can confirm that one police officer has been injured. We don't know that officer's condition right now. There are multiple locations, including the area right here of Martin Luther King Drive and Bayview Avenue. We're told schools in the area have been put on lockdown. A number of agencies are on the scene and are gathering. We're trying to gather more information. We also know that police are looking for two shooters, one man and one woman. Now, the New Jersey State PBA has tweeted out a request for prayers right now for Jersey City officers. We are working to get more information, Dick, about this just very active situation right now.
Yeah, let's update you on that active scene, because just a few moments ago we played a videotape of what sounded like a barrage of gunfire that happened within perhaps the last few minutes. And we've been watching this scene, and perhaps we could take it wide again, the scene of this church where we just saw a vehicle move up. I'm just listening for sounds here. We hear what sounds like shouting going on, but it appears that the police are in the location of these two suspects that they're looking for, one who shot a police officer, and you can see these guys are putting gas masks on. Now, that would make you think that perhaps that they were going to engage with tear gas or some form like that.
So I wonder, because of where this is located, this is very much of a residential community. There are lots of homes there. There's a church right there. If they're going to go inside a building, perhaps, is what they're seeing them set up for at the moment. We can tell you that multiple agencies are involved in this, including the Sheriff's Department and the ATF.
This has been going on for a little over a couple of hours. We understand that in the first location, this male-female shooters engaged police officers, and one officer was shot. We do not know the condition of that officer right now, but they've been searching for the last few hours. It certainly moves like right now, they're making some sort of move. The Sheriff's Department appears to be moving in. We're not going to give you a really wide shot of this because we don't want to give the locations away, but it certainly looks like, perhaps because of the barrage of gunfire we heard a few minutes ago, that they've decided that they have to make a move now. We're going to play you that tape that we just heard of it shooting from just a few moments ago. Let's listen in.
Scary situations. You can imagine, if you live in that area, hearing all of this unfold.
A burst of gunfire which went for about 9 seconds, which almost certainly sounds like it's coming from some automatic weapon, which means a lot of bullets can go out in a very short period of time. And perhaps this has prompted the reaction that we're seeing right now. We're watching live right now in this location of Jersey City Police Department, the ATF, and the state police all on scene, making some sort of move. They had been back a little further a few moments ago. I know you're just joining us a few minutes ago, but we're looking at the tape. Now that truck, that vehicle now is pulling back again. You could just see it, a Sheriff's Department vehicle in the corner of the screen on the right-hand side there. Now it appears to be pulling back into its original position. We're not sure what the idea of that was, but perhaps they felt for the moment that they had to engage because of, Aundrea, what you just said. This is a residential community. They have to be worried about the people in the immediate surrounding area.
Earlier, we were able to speak to Brian Clark, an Uber driver. Can we listen to what he had to say? He was just in the area at the moment when everything began to unfold.
Yeah, he was. He said he drove in, and let's take a listen right now.
I'm an Uber driver, so I was dropping off a customer. I dropped them off, and I was on the one-way street. And I got caught in a one-way street with a bunch of cars, and I was wondering why nobody was moving. And then all of a sudden, I heard it. All the shots started ringing out. And so when I heard it, I see people running. I got out of the car, and I see cops ducked down and cops getting out of the way, and I'm wondering why. What the hell? So I get out of my car, and I can see it, and I heard it, pow, 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 pow. Then I realized I was in the shootout. I've never heard that many shots in my life. It was like I was in a war zone.
A war zone, he said.
Yeah.
Never heard so many shots in his life.
And now we have to consider, because we're not sure of this right now, is just what engagement he may have heard. We know there was an initial engagement between the two suspects, and because a police officer was shot, condition unknown right now, in the hospital. It is possible, but we're not sure right now, that there may have been multiple engagements, because we know, as we've heard, that this crime scene was spread out. We just heard a few seconds ago, we played that tape for you, gunfire, a burst of it. We don't know whether the shooters have done anything in between those 2 points. And once again, it points up to the possibility that anyone in that area, not only if you're in your house, stay in place, perhaps go to the basement, do not drive in this location, because you can see it really doesn't appear to be safe for anyone right now.
And just so we can tell you, that area, there are two scenes, Martin Luther King Drive and Bayview Avenue, and Martin Luther King Drive and Wilkinson Avenue are the two areas that law enforcement is zeroing in on right now. There are schools in that neighborhood. All of the schools are on lockdown right now. We can tell you, though, that students and staff are safe. They are on lockdown, as you can see, because of this active situation, just as a precaution. But again, those students and staff in those schools are safe. We're getting to the end of school right now, so folks will want to stay away from the area. Parents, I know they'll be concerned, but it's really best for them to be in school. They have protocols in place, and to just stay away from the area.
A few more things that law enforcement has to be concerned with. For a few seconds ago, we saw a helicopter, presumably a law enforcement helicopter, over the area. And of course, they would perhaps be using cameras to look down and look at the wider scene. But they also have to be careful that if a suspect or a gunman sees them, that they won't take a pot shot or two. We saw that helicopter come in, it made a quick perusal, and then got out quickly. Law enforcement now has a lot of different things at their hands that they could use. Cameras, frequently they will set up a command post in a truck where they have a series of videos from different locations. We know the officers often have cameras on them, not always can transmit live, but some of them can. And these are all the things they have to consider right now. And the other thing we do not know is, do these suspects have a hostage? Is there anybody in the place where they are, or are they by themselves? We just don't know that right now. So these are all the things that law enforcement has to consider before they take any action. And that action could be a few things. It could be just shooting back. It could be engaging on a grander scale. Perhaps when you're in a bigger building, they will send officers to the lower floors and just check the whole situation out before they go higher in an upper floor. Right now, we know they're surrounding this church, an area that appears to be a church, but we're not sure that that building is the focus of concern. So these are all the things that right now police are looking at and saying, okay, what's our next step? Is anybody in immediate danger, and do we have to act now? And that's really key. Usually the idea, frequently in hostage situations, is waiting people out. Because time is on your hands and you don't want anyone else to get hurt. We already have one law enforcement official who is wounded. So right now, you have to consider what they're thinking about. And these are all the various complicated issues that they have to address.
Absolutely, especially because this looks like the Bayview Avenue scene right now, where there are a lot of stores in the area, getting the shoppers, the store owners, making sure that they are safe. In the other area on Martin Luther King Drive and Wilkinson Avenue, you've got a lot of homes there, making sure everybody else is safe there. But I can tell you that we continue to see, when the camera zooms in, that U-Haul truck. We don't know if that truck was involved in this at all. The door was open, but I think that we just need to recognize that that is there.
It could be something involved, or it could be a fluke of someone who ran like heck when he heard the gunfire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because as our Uber driver told us, anyone who may have heard that, you're sure there was no doubt that did not sound like firecrackers, as we say in the neighborhood sometimes.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, you talk about perimeter, and we can see people who are standing at that grocery store. They all appear to be law enforcement.
Right.
But there is that concern that someone will just sort of wander out. And police are famous for, and with good reason, making the perimeter wider and wider. As of now, it appears this is still a very active, hot situation, and they haven't really gotten to that point where they're starting to cordon things off. That's how urgent everything is going on right now. Now, we can see another SWAT vehicle, which is moving in one direction right now, but we can't really tell what that movement is all about.
And another thing that makes this difficult is that there are two shooters they're looking for. They haven't indicated if those shooters are together or if they separated.
Right.
One man and one woman that they're looking for right now, so that complicates things as well.
And have they retreated to meet with accomplices? Do they have more weapons where they retreated? Is this place that they're surrounding possibly one of the locations, one of their so-called hangouts or hideouts where they might have other weapons? Or you know, the real concerns, and probably not as likely in this situation, but you know, if people are really sophisticated, that they could set booby traps. But this appears to have been a shootout followed by some sort of pursuit, and now what appears to be that at least one or perhaps both shooters are in a location, and police have created some sort of perimeter around them. And within the last, I would say, Aundrea, about 15-20 minutes ago is when we heard those shots fired, a rapid amount of shots.
The New Jersey Transit Police is another agency that is assisting with this shooting incident. That you can add to that the ATF. You see the Sheriff's Department right there.
Well, that's another concern. You know, you do have mass transit going through an area where buses could be coming by. That all has to be rerouted. You just made the excellent point that, and we're just seeing these officers are now beginning to point their weapons and at least perhaps start giving some sort of orders. But there's very definite feeling that they are surrounding a point where the shooter is. We heard the shots. They haven't really moved except to perhaps go forward with that sheriff's van in the last 10 or 15 minutes. And now they're sort of standing back.
And we've been advising people to stay away from the area. Again, Martin Luther King Drive and Bayview Avenue and Martin Luther King Drive and Wilkinson Avenue. We have just learned that Turnpike exit 14B, as in boy, is closed right now because of this situation that's going on. So again, we know that schools are in the area. It's time for just about time when schools will be ending. Parents, I know they're going to want to kind of rush to pick their kids up, but those schools are on lockdown for the safety of everyone. Just avoid the area right now. This is very much of an active situation going on. Things are changing moment by moment.
And it just goes to show just how many people are involved here. The fact that they're closing an exit on the Turnpike really says that there's a larger strategy going on, that we don't want to be feeding any vehicles even into the wider area as opposed to just the limited streets there. You're shutting off a Turnpike now, unless this is involved in some sort of investigation from an earlier part of the chase, of which we're not 100% certain. That is possible, but we're not sure right now. And
it looks like a drone.
Yeah, it looks like a drone. Of course, a drone is another weapon the police have at their access, because let's face it, we talked about a helicopter. You know, you can shoot at a helicopter and that puts people's lives at risk. But these are just one of the things that really help officers in the way they engage criminals right now, that you can use a drone, and presumably, as we know, you can get a live feed from that drone. So whatever's going on the ground, well, the police can see it from the ground, but now a much perhaps better situation. Police are in the air, at least in a drone, and drones are much safer.
And we've got Alice Gaynor live at the scene right now. Alice, tell us, what are things like there? Alice, are you
Aundrea
okay?
And Dick, we're here on Myrtle Avenue at the corner of MLK, and you know, police are over there at the intersection, and they've been pushing us back. When we first got here, we got here after this all started. When we got here, we heard hundreds of gunshots at least. It was very frightening for a few moments here. With Carlos, you work in the area, you work right over here. Describe to me what you heard and about what time.
12 o'clock. We was ready to take lunch. And all of a sudden we started, you know, we heard a lot of gunshots. So as everybody, we came out, and it's been going on almost 2 hours already, as you know.
Now, this is the first time we actually have not heard gunshots in quite some time, because for a while it seemed like every few moments we were hearing some.
Yeah, you see, like now it's happening again. As you can hear behind us, it's more gunshots. And it's been going on and off, on and off. I heard over 200 gunshots fired before, so apparently they said there was somebody that killed his his parole officer.
So you were hearing different things.
Yeah,
What did police say to you? You were here on the street. I know when we got here, officers were trying to push us back here on Myrtle. What were they saying to you initially?
Well, they was telling us to move back because the guy has a high-range rifle, and that he could, you know, somebody can get hit.
What's this been like for you as this has been going on? Are you frightened? Are you scared? I know you're standing outside here.
Yeah, obviously we all curious, but we scared. What I mean, something can happen. When we were standing up there like 20 minutes ago, actually, I think we saw like a bullet hitting the house over there. So
Right over here?
Yeah, across right the house. So we scared. But at the same time, I came out because two of my guys, they were buying lunch. And they locked them inside the store. They didn't let them out, so they called me.
One of the stores right over there in the corner, that's MLK.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
And they're okay.
They're okay, yeah, they're okay. They're up there right now working, they're okay. So
we've seen Jersey City Police. Have you noticed any other officials here? I know ATF out of Newark is here. Have you seen any other?
I think SWAT came before also, and everybody was in the corner. So the more police officer arrived, then the more they was pushing us back. So I think we end up here right now.
Do you feel safe with some of the officers out here directing everyone? Because obviously we haven't moved from this spot. You haven't left the area.
Well, definitely we're safe. They are here to protect us. And that's the reason that sometimes, they tell us where it's going to be safe for us, because otherwise we get too curious and somebody can get hurt.
Well, Carlos, I'm glad you're okay. Please stay safe and tell your workers that as well, okay? Thank you for chatting with us. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. As we were just speaking, we just saw another vehicle go by with flashing lights. Things where we are have calmed down a little bit, if that makes sense. Earlier we were hearing shots, then we were hearing more shots, and some of these officers came over and they were just pushing everyone, get back, get back. A lot of people are still outside here standing even as those gunshots were going right overhead. I'm not sure if we can pan and show you this. We've got a New York State Police chopper. Okay, we can't do that, but you could probably hear the chopper going. That's what we've been seeing. In bad weather like this, it's usually not easy for helicopters to fly. I count one, I count two, at least two choppers up overhead here where we are. If we can zoom in a little bit down there, I'm not sure what exactly we can see. We were standing closer. We heard those shots. We came back here. But earlier we saw quite a few different officers. They were standing behind their vehicles, positioning themselves, trying to keep themselves safe. So right now, this is the scene again. We are at Myrtle and MLK. They're not letting anyone get any closer. Obviously, you can see a lot of people outside on the streets here. People have been standing outside. Nobody was really reacting or running as these shots were going off. They sound like they were coming to the right of us, also echoing. So for a while, we thought maybe shots were being fired from both sides of the street where we were standing here, but they maybe appear to have been coming from the left-hand side. Again, things where we're standing on Myrtle near MLK seem to have calmed down a bit. Again, we have not heard shots for quite some time. I'd say we haven't heard them for at least maybe 20 minutes or so. For a while, it was never ending. I've never heard anything like that before. It was nonstop shot after shot after shot. But again, we are okay. I know a lot of people wonder why are we standing here, but we are keeping a safe distance. We're doing exactly what police officers asked us to do. We're staying out of the way. We just want to make sure we are reporting the news to you as it is happening here in Jersey City. We've got a lot of street closures going on. Definitely stay out of the area if you can. You never know what can happen here. But again, you can see we've got some official cars. We see a couple of them leaving this particular area. We don't see officers standing behind cars like we saw them doing earlier today. I know we have some other reporters located around Jersey City here, bringing you the very latest and gathering the information as it comes in. Right now, from where we're standing, we're waiting for an update from officials. We don't have anything from Myrtle and MLK over here. We can still hear a lot of choppers overhead, so they're not sure what exactly, if they're still searching for those gunmen they were looking for earlier. But Aundrea and Dick, this is the very latest here from MLK and Myrtle, and I want you to know we are okay. We're keeping a safe distance, and we will bring you information from here as we get it.
Alice, before you go, if I could follow up with a question. You're talking about this gunfire. Sure. I know it might be hard to hear, but you were talking about this gunfire you heard. How long were these engagements? We heard a piece of tape that was about 9 seconds. Was this going on over a period of minutes that you were listening to?
So we got here probably now about an hour ago. When we got here, we heard 1, 2 pop, then nothing for a while. Then we would hear a couple more. And then there were like 3 other instances where we just heard a barrage of gunshots being fired. I mean, there were like probably three times where it was really going for quite some time, and we just weren't sure, actually where it was even coming from, because again, there's quite an echo out here. So we're like, is it coming from over there? Is it coming from over here? We weren't quite sure. But again, we have not heard gunshots in at least 20 minutes at this time.
And Alice, I do want to ask you, I know that you're there to report the story, but what is it like for you to experience that?
We're okay. We would never put ourselves in danger. I know that sounds silly. A lot of people are like, what are you doing? Get out of there. We're doing exactly what officers are asking us to do. Again, we were closer. We heard those shots. You know, we backed up here. We're not messing around and going any closer. There are a lot of people outside. I asked a few of them, do you feel safe? They said they felt fine. See, there's a police chopper right there. Sorry to interrupt. Just want to show you. They've been circling overhead. We've seen at least 2 of these choppers. Not entirely sure what they're looking for at this time. Again, this is breaking news, so information is coming in at a slow drip to us.
Are you getting,
it's
Alice?
Possible they may still be looking for some people involved with the shooting.
Are you getting, Alice, any sense that police want to keep people from the location, even people who live there, perhaps at some point saying, no, you can't go into your house, or perhaps even at some point evacuating people because of their safety?
Well, you know, here on Myrtle, like I said, and as you can see, there are people outside here. You know, police were telling people to move back, and they were actually keeping cars off the street here. They were telling people to move back, but then we were hearing more shots, so they were running to the center, to the corner of MLK and Myrtle over here to stand behind the cars, waiting to do their job should someone come outside. So they want to keep people safe, but they're also trying to do a job as well in terms of these gunmen. So it was hard for them, I think, to actually get people off this street with so much going on. They did tell people to move, but people out here didn't want to. A lot of them said they felt just fine being out here. So again, that is the scene right now from Myrtle. We're not seeing officers telling people to go back so much anymore at this time.
All right, thank you so much, Alice Gaynor, there at the scene. We also have Hazel Sanchez at another location at the scene right now with a live shot and an interview. Hazel?